The wind howled like a beast across the frozen hills. Snow flew in sharp waves, hitting the ground like glass. Ryan pulled his scarf tighter, his fingers stiff in his gloves. Each step sank into deep snow. Each breath came out in steam. He had been walking alone for hours, searching for signs of life or danger. His ship had gone down 2 days ago, shot by something unknown. The planet was not on any map, cold and dead. But Ryan had seen movement on his scanner, maybe survivors or enemies. Either way, he had to find out. A soft sound broke through the wind. It was faint, like a whisper or a cry. Ryan froze and dropped to one knee, his hand gripping his weapon. The sound came again, closer, more desperate. A broken voice, filled with pain. He moved forward slowly, using a ridge of snow for cover. Then he saw her, an alien woman, crawling through the snow. Her body was tall and lean, her armor cracked and black with dried blood. She dragged her leg behind her, bleeding badly. Long silver hair stuck to her face. Her lips blue from the cold. Ryan aimed his rifle, finger on the trigger. She looked up and froze. Her eyes were sharp, golden, and wild. For a moment, she reached for her weapon, then stopped. Instead, she raised both hands, shaking, and dropped her blade into the snow. I surrender, she said in a hoarse voice. Her accent was thick but clear enough. Don't kill me. I'll warm your bed. Ryan blinked. He had expected a fight, not a plea. He looked at her, an enemy, maybe a warrior. But now she knelt in front of him, trembling. Snow gathered on her shoulders like a shroud. What did you say? Ryan asked, keeping his rifle up. I have no weapons, no strength left, she whispered. You're human, yes? Keep me alive and I'll serve you. He stepped closer, keeping distance. She didn't move, didn't flinch. Ryan saw the pain in her eyes, the blood soaking her side. This wasn't a trick. She was dying. Why should I help you? He asked. Her voice broke. Because my own people will kill me, she said. They think I betrayed them. They left me here to die. The snowstorm grew stronger. Wind screaming like a ghost. Ryan knew he couldn't stay out long, not without shelter. He looked at her again. Even in this state, she had the look of a warrior's scars, armor, fire in her eyes. But now she was weak, broken, and begging. He made a choice. Get up, he said. Lowering his gun, she tried to stand but fell back, groaning in pain. He cursed under his breath and moved to her side. I should leave you here, he said, pulling her arm over his shoulder. But I won't, she leaned into him. Too weak to speak. Together, they limped across the snow, her blood leaving a trail behind. Ryan spotted a broken ridge up ahead, maybe a cave. He had to move fast. Behind them, in the far distance, a red light blinked once, then twice. Something had picked up her signal, and it was coming. Inside the cave, Ryan dropped to his knees, pulling her down with him. He started a small fire with a flare and dry fuel from his bag. She lay on her side, gasping, her skin pale and shaking. Without a word, he took off his outer jacket and wrapped it around her. She looked up at him, eyes full of something strange. Not just fear, but confusion. Why? She asked. You don't even know me. I don't leave people to die, Ryan said simply. That's the human way. She closed her eyes, her body still shaking. Outside, the storm raged on, and far away, machines tracked her heat, following the trail of blood in the snow. The fire crackled low in the corner of the cave. Ryan sat near the entrance, holding his rifle tight. His eyes scanned the storm outside, but his mind stayed on the alien woman behind him. She hadn't said a word since they entered. Only the soft sound of her breathing proved she was still alive. Her body was wrapped in his jacket, her legs pulled close to her chest. Even with armor, she looked fragile now, like a candle fighting the wind. Ryan didn't know her name, her species, or her crimes, but something about her made him stay. He could have left, but didn't. Suddenly, she stirred, her voice weak. Karel, she whispered, not even looking at him. My name is Karel. Ryan turned his head slightly. You were a soldier, he said, not a question. She nodded slowly. A commander. Once, he waited, but she didn't speak more. Instead, her hand moved to her side, touching the wound. Blood had dried into the fabric, and her skin looked burned around the edges. She winced, biting her lip. Let me see it, Ryan said. Moving closer, she hesitated, then slowly removed the top layer of her armor. Underneath, the wound was worse than he expected. A long gash ran down her ribs, black veins spreading out like poison roots. That's not normal, he muttered. She didn't answer, only looked away. I was tagged, she said after a pause. They marked me with a tracker. One that kills slowly. Ryan's jaw tightened. He grabbed his medkit and sprayed healing foam over the area. It sizzled against her skin, and she gasped, grabbing his arm. For a moment, their eyes met hers wide with pain, his calm but firm. You're lucky I know a few tricks, he said softly. She gave the smallest nod. I didn't expect kindness from a human. Before Ryan could answer, a beep came from his belt, his motion detector. He looked at the small screen. Something was moving. Outside, fast, big, not one, not two, but many. His heart raced. He stood up, grabbed his rifle, and moved to the cave entrance. Through the blowing snow, faint lights flashed blue and red, like scanning beams. He ducked back inside. They found you, he whispered. Kirill sat up quickly, fear returning to her face. No, they were supposed to be far. They aren't, Ryan said, checking his ammo. You've got bounty hunters on your tail. Not bounty hunters, she said, voice trembling. Execution squads. Ryan paused. Why? What did you do? She looked at him, the firelight dancing in her golden eyes. I stopped obeying, she said. I said no to the high command, refused a massacre, and helped prisoners escape. They called it betrayal. Ryan stared at her. So, they sent hunters? Worse, she replied. They sent machines. No mercy, no faces, only code. Ryan helped her to her feet. She leaned on him heavily, barely able to walk. We have to move, he said. This cave won't keep us safe. As they exited into the snow, Ryan took one last glance behind. The fire still burned, lonely in the dark. But out here, the real hunt had begun. The storm hadn't stopped. But now something glowed through it, red lights hovering above drones. They scanned the snow, searching for heat, life, and target patterns. Kirill pulled her cloak tighter, but she was still burning up from the tracker in her side. She was a beacon in the cold. Ryan made a quick decision. There's an old bunker a few clicks west. I saw it when I crashed. We can reach it if we don't stop. Kirill nodded. Go, she said. If I slow you down, you're not staying behind. He cut her off. You want to warm my bed? You stay alive. Her lips curled into the tiniest smile. Despite the pain, they moved through the deep snow, leaving only faint tracks. But high above them, the machines turned in their direction. The hunt had truly begun, and now it wasn't just Kirill's life at risk. It was his too. The cold cut deeper with each step. Ryan's legs felt heavier, like walking through wet sand. Kirill leaned on him, her breath weak and sharp. Her skin was pale, almost blue. Her lips cracked from the wind. The snowstorm didn't slow down. And the wind carried a sound. It wasn't just the storm anymore. It was humming, mechanical, like wings made of blades, searching. The hunters were close now. Ryan kept his head low, eyes searching for cover. A cluster of dead trees appeared through the white fog. Beyond them, the remains of a crashed satellite station, twisted steel and broken walls. Not much, but maybe enough. There, he said, dragging her faster. Kirill didn't argue, but her knees buckled halfway. Ryan caught her just in time. You'll freeze, he muttered. His voice tight. She barely nodded, her body shaking in silence. Inside the wreckage, Ryan found a narrow room with half a ceiling. It was enough. He pulled Kirill inside, set her down, and tore open his pack. With trembling hands, he sparked a fire using dried scraps and fuel gel. The flames grew slowly, casting golden light on cold metal walls. Kirill curled close to the fire, but still trembled. Ryan looked at her fingers, purple and stiff. Her boots were soaked, her armor clinging to her frozen skin. He grabbed her shoulder gently. "If we don't warm you now, you'll lose your toes," he said. "No time for shame, all right?" She blinked slowly, confused. Then her eyes widened as Ryan began removing her boots and the lower armor plates. She opened her mouth to protest, then closed it. There was no time for pride in death's cold breath. He peeled off her wet socks. Her feet were ice blocks. Without another word, he pulled her close, sitting behind her, her back against his chest, his arms wrapped around her. His coat covered them, both like a shared shell. Kirill let out a shaky breath. Her hands gripped his arms tightly. Her body was stiff at first, but little by little she softened, pressed into him, seeking the heat like a dying flame. "I've never done this before," she whispered. Ryan chuckled quietly. "What, shared body heat or almost died in a snowstorm?" She gave a soft breath that almost sounded like a laugh. "No, been close to someone without wanting to kill them." "Same," he said, then paused. "Well, not exactly, but close." For a while, there was only firelight and breath. No words, just survival. Outside, shadows passed 3 silent drones, scanning the wreckage from above. But the fire inside was low, and Ryan had placed debris over the roof hole. No heat leaked out. Kirill whispered, "Why did you really save me?" Ryan stayed quiet for a moment. Then he answered, "Because when you looked at me, you didn't look like a monster. You looked tired." She nodded slowly. "I was," she whispered. "Still am." Her head rested on his chest now. Her body finally warm enough to stop shaking. Ryan could feel her heartbeat through his coat. It was slow, but steady. Then came a sharp clicking sound. Both of them tensed. Ryan reached for his rifle without making a sound. Kirill's hand moved over his. "Don't shoot," she whispered. "They don't always see, they listen." The clicking continued. Outside, then silence. Long, deep silence. After a few minutes, it passed. Ryan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, but Kirill didn't relax. "They sent skinners," she said quietly. "What are skinners?" he asked. "Machines that strip the body from the soul," she replied. "Hunters that don't leave anything behind." Ryan tightened his arms around her. "Then we move at dawn." Kirill turned her head slightly to look at him, her golden eyes now soft, not guarded. "I meant it," she whispered. "What?" he asked. "When I said I'd warm your bed." Her voice didn't sound like a joke now. It sounded like a promise, not just of body but loyalty. A warrior's gift to the one who gave her a second chance. Ryan didn't smile. He only said, "Then live long enough to keep that promise." Outside, the wind howled inside. 2 lives warmed each other in firelight. And far above the clouds, a warship turned its sensors toward the snowy ground. The real hunters were coming. The first light of dawn never broke through the clouds. Only gray mist covered the snow like a blanket of death. Ryan packed the gear in silence, his face cold and sharp. Kirill sat beside the dead fire, now dressed in layers from his emergency kit. She looked stronger, still limping, but fire had returned to her golden eyes. They said nothing as they left the wreckage behind. Only snow crunched beneath their feet. Ryan knew the bunker wasn't far, but his gut told him something was wrong. Too quiet, too still, even the wind had died. As they reached the frozen riverbed, Kirill suddenly stopped. Her hand shot out and grabbed Ryan's arm. "Wait," she hissed. Ryan dropped low instantly, scanning ahead. A strange shimmer in the air, like heat on metal, danced in front of them. "A trap field," she whispered. "They're here. Too late." The moment Ryan turned, 3 figures rose from the snow like ghosts, camouflage cloaks falling away. Alien soldiers, dressed in black chrome armor, aimed shock spears at them. Ryan reached for his rifle, but a sharp blast hit him in the chest. He fell back, body twitching, his muscles frozen by the electric shock. Corel turned to fight, but she was already surrounded. She screamed and swung her arm, a hidden blade sliding from her sleeve. She cut one soldier across the chest, but then the second one struck her head from behind. Darkness, then nothing, when Corel woke up. Her wrists were bound with glowing cuffs, her legs tied in place. She sat in the middle of a metal transport cage, bars humming with energy. The sky above her was deep gray. She tried to move, but the cuffs zapped her nerves. Ryan was across from her, still unconscious. Blood ran down the side of his head. His hands were chained behind his back, one boot missing, his coat gone. Corretted her teeth. They had stripped them both, taken everything except life. A shadow fell over her. A tall alien officer stepped forward, his armor marked with the burning sigil of the execution guard. He stared at her like one would a dying insect. Well, he said with a cruel smile. Commander Corel. The fallen queen of snow and shame, she didn't reply. The officer reached in and gripped her chin, forcing her to look up. You betrayed the throne, he spat. You gave comfort to the enemy, spared prisoners, and now you lie in a human's arms like a common pet. Corel glared at him, blood on her lips but eyes burning. I made my choice, she said slowly. Then die with it, the officer growled. Throwing her head back, Ryan groaned, waking up. Slowly his vision blurred, but he saw Corel in chains. His heart jumped. He tried to rise, but the cuffs held him down. Don't touch her, he shouted. But his voice was weak. The officer looked at Ryan with disgust. So this is the human you warmed your bed for? He laughed. Shame. He's barely worth a bullet. Corel pushed herself up, even as the cuffs burned her skin. Leave him, she growled. Your fight is with me. Oh, I disagree, the officer said, pulling out a long knife. I think we start with him and let you watch. Corel's eyes widened, her whole body tensed. No, she said, her voice cracking. Take me instead, do what you want, but let him live. The officer paused, then smirked. Interesting, he said. You still care for this weak thing. Suddenly, from the side, one of the soldiers stumbled. A loud click sounded, then a blast. The ground beneath the cage exploded, sending metal and snow flying into the air. Smoke filled the air, and in the chaos, Ryan rolled to the side, grabbing a broken metal rod. With one hard swing, he smashed the lock on his cuffs. Corel kicked the cage door open with both legs. Screaming, she dove forward, catching the fallen knife the officer had dropped. Before he could react, she was on him. One quick slash to his throat. He fell to the snow with a red gurgle. Eyes wide in shock, Corel turned to Ryan, panting. We have 5 minutes, she said. They'll send more. He grabbed her hand. Then let's run together. As they disappeared into the blizzard, the execution guard's last message rang through the air. Corel is rogue, and the human with her is now marked. Now they weren't just hunted, they were condemned. But together, they had chosen their own chains, freedom, love, and danger. The world was white and endless. Blades of snow flew sideways, slicing the air. Corel and Ryan, without looking back, their feet smashed into deep snow, each step heavier than the last. Their breath came out hard, their bodies sore, and shaking. Behind them, black smoke rose from the broken transport. Screams echoed from the surviving soldiers. But they didn't chase, at least not yet. The explosion had confused them. Given just enough time to escape, Corel's leg bled again. The cut had reopened during the fight. Ryan noticed her limp getting worse. We need to stop, he shouted over the wind. Corel shook her head, teeth clenched. They'll catch us if we do. I don't care, Ryan growled, grabbing her arm. You're slowing down. She pulled away, face twisting. I can keep going, she said. But her knees buckled in the snow. She fell hard, landing on her side. Ryan rushed to her, dropping to his knees. Corel, hey, look at me. Her eyes blinked slowly, her skin pale again. She was burning with fever. The wound on her ribs was worse than he thought. He pulled open his satchel, his hands numb. His last pain injector was cracked, useless. The metal frozen, Ryan cursed under his breath. Looking around, they had crossed a frozen river. Up ahead were strange shapes. Large bones frozen into the hillside, some kind of dead beast. Its ribcage formed a small arch in the snow. "Come on," he whispered. Ryan picked Corail up, one arm under her legs, one at her back. She was light. Lighter than a soldier should be. She didn't argue this time, just closed her eyes. Inside the ribcage, Ryan placed her down gently. The bones blocked the wind. Well, he gathered broken bark and frozen vines nearby to start a fire. It was weak but warm enough. Corail opened her eyes slowly. "You carried me again," she said, voice soft. "Don't get used to it," Ryan replied, sitting beside her. "Your people really don't know how to quit, huh?" Corail gave a tired smile. "Honor is everything to them, even if it means killing their own." He asked. She nodded. "Especially then." Ryan took off his outer coat again and wrapped it around her. "Why did you turn against them?" he asked after a pause. She stared at the fire. "Because they made us monsters," she said. "They told us to burn refugee colonies, kill the weak, enslave the young. And you refused." "I refused," she said. "So they put a death mark on me." Ryan looked at her for a long time. "You're not a monster," he said. Corail looked back, eyes wide. "Not anymore." He added, "For a moment, the cold didn't matter. The fire between them wasn't just warmth. It was understanding, trust, and something else forming in silence." Suddenly, a distant howl echoed across the ice. Not wind, not machines, but something alive, something big. Corail's eyes narrowed. "That's a prowler," she said, sitting up straighter. "A predator?" Ryan asked, reaching for his rifle. She nodded slowly. "They hunt heat, like the drones. But faster." Ryan peeked out through the bones. Far in the distance, a dark shape moved across the frozen river. It was low, fast, and crawling on 4 jagged legs. Its eyes glowed faint green in the storm. "We can't fight that thing," he muttered. Corail stood, swaying a little. "We'll have to outsmart it," she said. Ryan raised an eyebrow. "How do you outsmart something that eats soldiers for breakfast?" Corail grinned weakly. "We make it chase the wrong heat." She took Ryan's broken injector and wrapped it in her torn armor piece. Then she lit the fabric on fire and threw it toward the rocks nearby. The device inside still had a power cell just enough for a heat reading. Within seconds, the prowler turned sharply, heading straight for the bait. "Run," she whispered, and they did. They climbed the ridge behind the beast skeleton, pushing their bodies beyond limit. The prowler tore through the snow to the trap location, pounced, and exploded. Ryan turned just in time to see it vanish in a ball of fire. He looked at Corail in shock. "You had a mine?" She smirked, weak but proud. "I was a commander, remember?" They laughed softly as they stumbled into the next valley, but behind them, the snow was no longer empty. Black ships were entering the sky, scanning, searching, preparing to drop. Boots onto the ground, their journey wasn't over. It had only just begun. The valley below was quiet, but not peaceful. Ryan and Corail crouched behind a frozen ledge, looking down at what once was an old listening post. Now it was a temporary alien outpost, humming with energy. Several black ships hovered overhead like vultures. Soldiers marched below, weapons shining like sharp teeth in the gray morning light. Corail whispered, "That's not a search party." Ryan nodded, eyes narrowed. "No," he said. "That's an execution force." They saw at least 20 troops, maybe more. Drones hovered, scanning, patrolling, ready to strike. And in the middle of it all, a tall war figure stood near a glowing platform. Corail's breath caught in her throat. "My father," she whispered. Ryan looked at her sharply. "Your father?" She nodded slowly. "High Lord Varkir, Supreme Commander of the Ice Blades." The tall alien in the center looked cold, proud, and armored like a walking statue. He held a long energy staff, and a sharp blade hung at his waist. "Even from here, Carell could feel the weight of his presence. He had once been her greatest protector. Now, he had come to finish her story. Ryan studied the terrain, thinking fast. "There's no way we sneak through that," he muttered. Carell didn't answer. She only stared at the figure that once called her daughter. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the valley. A message, broadcast in every direction. "Carell of the Ice Blades," it said. "Step forward and return your honor. You are granted one final choice: surrender and be cleansed, or die like the animal you've become." Carell's hands trembled. Ryan touched her arm. "You don't have to go," he said softly. She shook her head. "They won't stop until I'm dead," she replied. "And now you're hunted too. Because of me." "Wrong," Ryan said, standing up. "I'm hunted because I chose to protect you." Before she could speak, he turned and started down the ridge. Carell's eyes widened. "Ryan, what are you doing?" He didn't look back. "Giving you a future," he said simply. He walked straight down into the open field. The soldiers spotted him immediately, weapons raised. Carell's father stepped forward, eyeing the human like a problem to be erased. "You have no authority here, human," he said. "This is not your world." Ryan raised his hands. "Maybe not," he replied. "But Carell didn't betray your people, she saved mine. She showed mercy where you showed only hate." Carell watched from the ledge, heart pounding. "No, no, no," she whispered. She couldn't let him face her father alone. Her father's eyes narrowed. "You are brave," he said, "but foolish. You will die with her." Ryan didn't move. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a device. A small trigger made of human tech, blinking red. He pressed it. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the earth. Small explosions sparked around the field. Hidden traps Ryan had planted hours ago when they first passed the ridge. Flashes of fire tore through the ice, blasting drones from the sky and cracking open the ground. Carell gasped. He had prepared this, even while she rested. Even while they hid, the soldiers scattered in chaos, shouting. Ryan charged through the smoke, tackling two of them to the ground. He fought like a man with nothing to lose, and everything to protect. Carell couldn't stay back anymore. She leapt down from the ledge, rolling through the snow and landing near a broken soldier. She grabbed his spear and sprinted toward Ryan. Together, they fought back to back, one human, one alien traitor facing the full force of a galactic army. Ryan was hit once in the shoulder, then in the side. He kept fighting, teeth clenched, blood dripping onto the snow. Carell screamed his name, slicing through a soldier charging him. But then her father stepped forward. Blade drawn, the air fell silent. Everything stopped around them. Father and daughter stood facing one another, years of war, pain, and silence between them. "Carell," he said coldly, "you chose a human over your blood." She raised her weapon slowly. "I chose life," she replied. "And I won't let you take his." Ryan, bleeding and half-conscious, tried to rise, but Carell stepped in front of him. This fight was hers now. Her father struck, blade flashing, but Carell was faster. Their blades clashed, sparks flying. Old training now turned against itself. She dodged a final sweep, and, with one clean strike, she slashed his chest, sending him falling to his knees. The soldiers froze, unsure what to do. Their commander defeated, Carell stood tall, holding her weapon with both hands. "This is the end," she said. "Leave us, or follow him into the snow." One by one, the soldiers backed away, the drones powered down, and silence fell again. Carell turned, dropped her weapon, and caught Ryan before he collapsed. His face was pale, eyes fluttering. "You're safe," he whispered. "Because of you." She held him close, her voice shaking. "No," she said. "Because of us." Ryan's eyes fluttered open to soft light. Warm air brushed his skin, and for the first time in days, he wasn't freezing. He blinked slowly, staring at the strange ceiling above metal beams and soft cloth. His body ached, but he wasn't in pain. He was Safe. A quiet sound beside him made him turn his head. Karail sat on the edge of the bed, her long hair brushed clean, her armor gone. She wore simple robes, now pale blue, soft and warm. Her golden eyes were gentle as she looked down at him. "You're awake," she whispered, and a small smile tugged at her lips. Ryan tried to sit up, but his body didn't agree. She quickly placed a hand on his chest. "Don't," she said. "You need rest." "Where are we?" he asked, voice hoarse. She looked around the small room. "A human recovery ship found us," she said. "Your people pulled us out of the valley barely in time." Ryan gave a slow nod. "And the soldiers?" "Gone," she answered. "They didn't follow us." There was a pause. Ryan stared at her, then let out a tired chuckle. "So," he said, "I lived." She leaned down, resting her forehead gently against his. "You lived," she whispered, "because I wouldn't let you die." The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's power core. Karail pulled the blanket higher over his chest and adjusted the heat setting beside the bed. She sat back down, her hand resting over his. "I'm not a commander anymore," she said softly. "I'm not even part of my species now. They'll call me exile. Traitor, worse." Ryan looked into her eyes. "And what do you want?" "To be?" he asked. Karail was silent for a long moment. Then she answered, her voice low and clear. "I want to be the one who stays by your side. Not because I owe you," she added quickly, "but because I've never known peace like this." Ryan's hand moved slowly, squeezing hers. "You were the fiercest thing I ever faced," he said. "And now you're the only thing I want near me." Karail smiled again, her fingers tracing his wrist. Gently, "I meant what I said, back in the snow." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You mean that part where you offered to warm my bed?" She laughed, and it was the first true laugh he had ever heard from her. "Yes," she said. "But now, it's different." Her smile faded into something soft and serious. "I don't want to warm your bed to survive," she said. "I want to stay in it because I choose you." Ryan reached up, brushing a lock of her silver hair behind her ear. "Then it's your bed too," he whispered. "We'll share it from now on." They sat like that, in silence, warmth between them stronger than any fire, no war, no snow, no execution squads, just two souls who had saved each other. Later, Karail helped him sit up, bringing him warm broth and soft bread. He ate slowly, her hand never far from his. Outside the room, voices of human medics and alien refugees passed by. This ship wasn't just healing wounds, it was rebuilding trust. Between people, between enemies, between hearts. Before sleep took him again, Ryan looked at her and asked, "What now?" Karail tilted her head, thoughtful. "We find a home," she said. "Somewhere cold, maybe," she smirked, "but with a strong roof. And a bed big enough for two." Ryan smiled weakly. "I'll need someone to fight off invaders." He said, "I know a good alien warrior," she replied proudly. He closed his eyes, holding her hand, and whispered, "Don't leave." She leaned down, kissing his forehead gently. "I won't," she whispered back. "I'll warm your bed. Forever."